Hey, I want to tell you a little story about a business I started quite a few years ago. Had this really, really cool product. It was awesome. I didn't come up with it, but the guys I knew came up with it. It's pretty special, unique, and very different than anything I'd ever seen before. And I had that product. I'm gonna visualize this. So that product was over here, okay? My clients, who I studied and knew, were over here. But they didn't know me. They didn't know who I was. I had no like and trust with them at all. And the other problem I had with them is they didn't know they had the problem. My solution over here was freaking unbelievable. It was the best thing since sliced bread. Seriously, it was. It would solve their problem better than they knew they even had the problem. That's how good it was. So I had two major roadblocks against me in success. I had two more. Those were my external roadblocks. My internal roadblocks were over here. I had no way of sustaining or supporting this product. I had it as it was, but if I used it, I couldn't support it. I also didn't know the environment I was in. So not only, I had studied these guys, I knew what they were about, I knew what it was like, but the whole environment that we were in was completely foreign to me. Never been there, didn't understand it, didn't know what it was like. And it took me 2 weeks of nearly 24 hours a day, sitting in front doors, sitting in foyers, waiting, talking nice to gatekeepers, making friends, shaking hands, telling them how important I was, what a great idea we had over here. And eventually, I got one key decision maker in my clientele group, my network over here, who said, all right, Otis, I'll give it a shot. And when he bought it, it blew up. We got more work, more effort than anything we were ever expecting. And I skipped over one part. So this wasn't just Otis. I had a team. My team, meanwhile, while I'm sitting over here drinking coffee with all the important people, right? Influencing, making friends, gripping and grinning. My team's over here figuring out the whole supply. How do we fix this? How do we get that? Where do we get this? Where do I find that when they're not looking? Did a little bit of that too. And we did it and we were successful. We blew it out of the water. The funny thing is, this wasn't a business. This was my job as a Green Beret. I was a Special Forces Operational Detachment Alpha commander. And my mission in Haiti, in Port-au-Prince, which has the potential to be a beautiful town, but not right now, and not then either. My mission was Coalition Support Team, old mission for SF, where our job was to integrate a foreign force. And the foreign force that I had was the Polish Special Forces, their counterterrorism force, known as GROM, G-R-O-M, means lightning bolt. This was their first public recognition that they even existed to the nation, and the first deployment of a Polish military force in support of a U.S. operation. And my job, because what I told you, I changed the names, but what I told you was literally what happened. Link up with these guys in Puerto Rico, deploy to Port-au-Prince, and employ them. And by the way, if you don't employ them, they will go home and the mission will be a failure, and our first effort with the Polish military, which is now one of our closest allies in Europe, would fail and have to start all over from scratch. I use the same techniques that you use and I use each and every day in business. That resilience, the perseverance, the discipline, those things are what drove me and kept me going. That's why we were successful. That, and I'll be honest, I had some really, really smart NCOs that were working for me, and they got stuff done for us. So, what we have as veterans is one of the most important tools that sets you apart and gives you the advantage over anybody else that you can think of, any other startups, any other business owners, any other entrepreneurs, because it's been ingrained in us. Whether you've had one enlistment or 30 years, it's in your blood, it's in your mind. Some of us is deeper than others because we spent many, many years doing it, but it's still there. That resilience is what's going to help you grow and help your business succeed. Now, like Sam said, I need to remember to not let somebody pull my bio offline and use that, because that's a long one. Yeah, I did? Oh, crap. That's even worse. Must have caught me when I was sleeping or feeling sorry for myself. The 25 years in the Army, started as a tanker, finished as a Lieutenant Colonel Green Beret, and that time was formidable for me. I'm now an author, TEDx speaker, an inventor, father, grandfather, and it all comes back to the stuff I did in the Army. How those things, those people, those ops, those training missions all helped form who I am and how I've been able to create and run my businesses as I'm doing. And it starts with these things: resilience, perseverance, discipline. But those don't work unless we have purpose. Resilience, the ability to get up and go after being knocked down. Perseverance, the ability to focus on the outcome. Discipline, I do what I say I'm going to do. Purpose is your fuel. That's what we're going to do. We're going to drive forward. It's going to help me. It's going to guide me. It's going to make me get up every morning. So resilience. Resilience is the effort within you that happens, that you tap into unwittingly when you get punched in the face, kicked in the nuts, knocked down, thrown out, told you're no good, told that's a stupid idea. Watch the commander walk by you 6 times during the day, looking at you, who never says, "Come on in, sir. Come on in, Otis." That's resilience. You know what you want to do. You know what you want to accomplish. But you keep hitting roadblocks. You keep getting knocked down. Several years ago, yes, it's a scrum. I used to coach boys high school rugby. And it's been almost 10 years now. I think it's 9 years. We lost a young man to suicide. Nothing more tragic than a beautifully gifted, smart, friendly, popular young man making a bad decision one night when he felt he'd screwed everything up for his life. And he took his own life. We were a month into the season. Just finished our first game of the year. Still had a whole season to go. We had to, myself, my good buddy Jimbo, who I coached with, and the parents of the club had to come to a decision. We had to decide what we're going to do. Do we fold it up? Do we say, "Oh, this is a tragic event," which it is. Don't get me wrong, not belittling that at all. Or do we tap into our resilience and teach these young men how to overcome one of the most terrible things that can happen to a bunch of teenage boys, to have a friend like that take his own life. And that was what we did. We put a lot of effort into it, a lot of one-on-ones, a lot of discussions, even brought in some police officers that are very familiar with teenage suicide to help discuss it. And we decided to finish the season and run through the season. We ended up finishing third that year. A little disappointing because we usually finish first. But we finished third. And these young men, I still stay in touch with a bunch of them, are all stronger for that because they learned that resilience. They learned that things can happen and you can bounce back and recover. That's the resilience. That's the resilience that we have as veterans. We've been there, we've done that, we've got the t-shirt, we talk shit at the bar, we talk shit at each other in the gym, wherever. But in the end, we've got that resilience that helps us get up when we get knocked down, that helps us take that no and move around it into something else, to build it positive, to move forward. Ryan Holiday is an author, podcaster, and really one of the things that he is, I know him the most for is because he's brought Stoicism back to the modern age. And if you're not familiar with Stoicism, you'll see a couple of quotes throughout this. There's one of them right there in the yellow. I'll read it in a minute. But The Obstacle is the Way. It's a great book because what it's talking about is I have to get through the hard stuff. I have to have the resilience to overcome the obstacle. It's not the end. It doesn't stop me. The obstacle makes me stronger. Who here has heard the phrase, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger? Yeah, I knew you had. What about pain is weakness leaving the body? Yeah, I think we might have yelled at each other a couple times. That's what resilience is. We said those phrases in jest, ribbing each other, poking each other, giving you the crap about quit whining. Buckle up, buddy. Let's go. And in the end, what we're doing is we're tapping into our resilience. That helps us get there, helps us succeed. Because too many people, and I can see nobody here in this room is going to be this person. Too many people are satisfied with fine, comfort, acceptance. Because they're afraid of the change. The change requires resilience to overcome. The resilience is what drives you to do something different, to face that challenge, to change what you're doing each and every day so that you can get better, because that's how you improve, you change. If you have an attitude of everything's fine, Otis, which I've had a couple of clients say that to me, and then we go into a deeper conversation. Because fine means you're settling. Fine today will not be fine tomorrow. You have to change, you have to integrate, you have to develop, you have to face that adversity, and that's where your resilience comes in, to make you stronger, to help you become better, and be better as a leader. Because leadership is how you change. You lead yourself. Leadership always starts with you. If you can't lead yourself, if you're telling yourself, I'm going to get up tomorrow morning, I'm going to work out, and you don't, you ain't leading, you're lying, making excuses. Yeah, I know, I've been there, right? But that's what it is. Leadership starts with you. You lead yourself through the resilience. Resilience is part of being a leader. And I'll say something about routine real quick, back to that morning routine. The reason it's called a routine is nothing more than a system for yourself. A routine is something that we do as individuals. And the reason a routine is important, a system is important, is because it's repetitive and we get better at it, right? As we do it, that's why we create systems in our businesses, because we can make them more effective, more efficient. And as we do it, we can watch it, we can measure it, we can say, oh, adjust this, adjust that. That's what a routine does for us. You have to have a routine, because I'll tell you one other thing it gives you as an individual. It saves the brain power. Because you know what, when I get up in the morning, I don't have to think. I know where my toothbrush is. I know where the toilet is. I know where my workout clothes are. And I know where the gym is. I do not think at all. It's going through the motions to push the button so the coffee's ready when I'm done working out. I don't think about any of that stuff at all. I'm not wasting any brain power because I've got that routine. And that routine allows me to expend the energy when I need it to be resilient. And perseverance, a little bit different. So what's perseverance? Perseverance is the ability to achieve the outcome. Is to drive through. So if resilience is something knocked me down, somebody told me no, perseverance is I'm going through that panel right there. And I will go right through everything to get to it. I will not be distracted to that panel or that panel, because I've got to focus on my outcome, what I want to achieve, because I have a plan. That's what perseverance is. It is about staying the course. Who here knows who Josie Wells is? Oh, God, that's so disappointing. All right, we're going to rent Netflix tonight and watch The Outlaw Josie Wells when I get done. Outlaw Josie Wells was a formative movie for me growing up. Wasn't it, Frank? You know, you watched it too. Very formative. There's a lot of life lessons in Outlaw Josie Wells, my friends. A lot. My favorite was this man right here. He played Lone Waddy, Chief Dan George. And I always remember this phrase. It's about halfway in the movie. Chief Lone Waddy is sitting on the porch of a cabin. Josie's up on a horse spitting tobacco. No, I'm sorry, he's actually falling asleep while the chief's talking. Right, Frank? I think that's what he's doing. And the chief says this: we thought about it for a long time. Endeavor to persevere. And when we had thought about it long enough, we declared war on the Union. Now, what he's talking about is the treaty his tribe signed with the U.S. government, and we all know how history turned out there. But those three words right there have stuck with me since the first time I saw that movie. Endeavor to persevere. Endeavor, focus, drive, go forward, punch it in the frickin' face. That's endeavor. Persevere. I know where I'm going. I know what I want to achieve. I know what I want. I'm going forward. So when I endeavor to persevere, nothing is going to stop me. And Chief Lone Waddy taught me that lesson a long time ago, and it stuck with me. It's so powerful in my book. I'm going to say a little bit about military planning, because I think it's so important. Because one of the things that I've seen over my years of working with veteran entrepreneurs and just veterans is everybody has a little bit of a thank you very much, United States Army. Thank you very much, United States Air Force. I'm out. I mean, I did that. It took me about 6 months to figure out that was about the dumbest thing I could say, because I was trying to learn all these new business things at Lockheed Martin and how to do all these business things. And then one day the light came on and I said, wait a second. I just spent 25 years processing problem sets with the greatest planning process that has ever been invented, because we send men into combat to die using that process, the military decision-making process. Why am I trying to do all these other things? The military decision-making process is the tool, and we've all learned it. I know, where's my Navy guys? Okay, yeah, Navy just does big, gray, and underway, so you're behind the power curve on that. We'll help you. Marines call it SMEAC, right? Yep, Marines call it SMEAC, situation, mission, execution, administration, and communication. Army, the Army plan, 5-paragraph field order, situation, mission, execution, admin and logistics, command and signal. Those things, it sounds so simple, but I can tell you, I've taught project management. I've taught it at the graduate level at a university. I've taught it around the nation to various students. And every time I do, I'm just translating the military decision-making process. When I was working at Lockheed Martin, we created a whole decision process to brief the executives on problem sets and opportunities based on the MDMP. Do not think you have to relearn or reinvent the wheel. What you have to do is know how to translate it, know how to use it. I learned how to do an L-shaped ambush in Georgia, but I can do an L-shaped ambush and teach it to Ukrainians, Ugandans, Taiwanese, you name the country. I just need a translator, because it's the same thing. It works the same. Military decision-making process and the 5-paragraph field order works the same. You just translate it for that VC, that investor, whoever that is, translate it for them. Help them out. Share one more thing. I'll do a quick translation for you, because I've done this enough where my go-to situation. So situation is, what's the background? Enemy forces in an op order, who's our competition? Friendly forces, who are my strategic partners? Mission, self-explanatory, mission/purpose. Execution, what's my vision? What's my concept of the business? What's the goals, objectives, tasks, action steps? Who's supposed to do them? And when are they supposed to do them? Matching those up. Administration and logistics. Where's everything coming from? How are we getting things? Who am I buying from? Who are my vendors? What's my supply chain? Command and signal. Who's in charge? Who's running that project? Who's running the company? What's my continuity of operation? Do I have a deputy that's taking care of it? Am I following up with that? Signal. What's my marketing plan? What's my internal and external marketing plan? It's all right here. We've all got it ingrained in our head. You just got to translate it a little bit. Now I'll tell you one other thing about perseverance before I switch. We all went through it in some form or fashion. When you raised your right hand and said, this is what I want to do. I want to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. When I said that, I knew what I wanted to do. That was my outcome. So to go through basic training, to go through airborne school, to go through ranger school, to go through Q course, to go through all these things, each one of them, I knew what the outcome was, and that's why I was able to persevere through it, because I didn't quit, because I kept driving through. That's what perseverance is, and that's the way you do it in your business. But you got to have a plan, because the plan gives you that outcome. Know where you're going, why you're going, and who you're going after. And discipline. Discipline is that thing that gets you up in the morning that says, it's 4 o'clock, it's time to go. Discipline is that, I said I'd be here, I'm here. Discipline is the preparation to be here. Discipline is, I'm doing what I say I'm going to do. Discipline is establishing the standards and following them. Demonstrating them. As a leader, that's what you do. You stand up, you demonstrate, you say, this is the standard, this is the values that we're going to follow in my business, in our business, and I lead by example through that discipline. And I already talked to you about routines, and there's a great quote by Aristotle. Now, those three things are great, but they don't work alone. You can't have resilience without perseverance. You can't have perseverance without discipline. You can't have resilience without discipline. They're all intertwined and all work together. But unless you have purpose, none of those things work, none of those things happen. And the one thing that we all had in common when we were in uniform was that purpose. Support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That was our purpose. Simple, clear. We all knew it. It bonded us, whether we were, no matter what service we were in, that bonded us. When we took the uniform off, that's the one thing that we all have in common that we lost. We don't have a purpose. It's no longer there until you discover and define your own. Because your purpose is that thing that keeps you going. You have to have it. Everybody's got it. I mean, don't be a whiny crap and say, I don't have a purpose. No, you just haven't figured out what it is. You haven't been brave enough, resilient enough, you haven't persevered, you haven't endeavored to persevere to figure out what your purpose is. That's what you have to do. It's time to put the work in. Your purpose makes the world better. Your purpose makes you better. It's the fuel. You know, I joke about getting up in the morning. I can tell you it ain't a whole lot of fun for me right now. Got a lot of broke things going on. And when I roll over 4 o'clock and I see it's 4 o'clock, and I go, shit. All right. And I go through that little routine I just told you about. And you know why I do that? Because I have a purpose. Because my purpose is clear to me. And I know that by getting up in the morning and doing my workout, I will be a better man for the people in my life that day. That's what drives me, because my purpose is to create a legacy of great leaders. And how the heck can I create a legacy of great leaders if I'm walking around feeling pain in my back and my leg, my head hurts, all these sort of things? How can I do that? I can't. I cannot fulfill my purpose if I'm wallowing around feeling sorry for myself. So even first thing in the morning when I roll over and look at that clock and go, shit. Flop the blanket off and get up. Because I know that's how I'm going to fulfill my purpose. It is, this bullet right here pulls you to action. It's the son of a bitch that's reaching in my blanket and grabbing me by the throat and pulling me out of bed. That's what purpose is. It pulls you to action and it fuels you through the crap. It gives you the fuel to persevere. It gives you the fuel to be resilient. It drives you to be disciplined enough to succeed. Now, I'm going to tell you, I've had this debate with many people because I believe your purpose is never achieved. It is fulfilled. You can achieve your vision. You can achieve goals. You can achieve outcomes. Your purpose is fulfilled because it's never done. It's never complete. It's the cup that never overflows and is never empty. You can always do more to fulfill your purpose. Every day, every action. I like to think of my purpose as this umbrella over everything I do. And I use it, sometimes not so good, but I use it to decide, yes, I'll do this. No, I won't do that. Because how does that support me fulfilling my purpose? I ask myself that, I look at that, I think about that when I make those decisions. That's how important your purpose is. You can find your purpose, and I challenge, who here could stand up right now and say, this is my purpose, Otis? Excellent, Nathan. Frank, excellent. Good, good. The rest of you, it's time to work. After you watch The Outlaw Josie Wells this weekend, this is what I want you to do. I'm going to give you an exercise real quick. Yeah, I'm going to give you an exercise off the top of my head. So if you want to take notes, it's fine. If you want to contact me afterwards, I'll walk you through it again. Here's what you do. I want you to identify 5 things you're passionate about. Here's a passion. Here's how I define a passion. It's something that you do while you're doing it that you lose track of time. It totally engulfs you. Yeah. It does that. Or when you're done, you're like, crap, let's do that again. That was fun. Man, I'm fired up. Let's go. Right? I know I used to run a veteran mastermind, and I'm not a night guy. I mean, we're getting close to my bedtime right now. And that mastermind, it started at 5:30 in the evening. I should have done it 5:30 in the morning, to tell you the truth, but 5:30 in the evening, and we'd finish up 7, a little after 7, and I dreaded it. I mean, I loved these men and women that were part of it. I really did. But every night that we do this, 5 o'clock, I'm going, oh, man, I'm smoked. But I would persevere to that moment, get on that call with my fellow veterans. And at 7 o'clock, when we wrapped it up, I'd be like, hey, Miss Suzanne, you want to go for a walk? I'd be all fired up because that was my passion. I was so passionate about it that after, even though before it started, I was draining, when I was done with it, I was like, whoo, man, I love these guys and gals. They're awesome. That's what a passion is. So I want you to come up with 5. Take that piece of paper, write down 5. 5 passions. If you got more, that's fine, but at least 5. Now I want you to get a blank sheet, 5 blank sheets of paper. And you're going to take and write the passion at the top of each page. Right at the top, turn it over, write the next one, do that each one. Now you're going to look at the passion, and I want you to break it into 3 to 5 main parts. You define them. I'll give you my example. When I was coaching boys high school rugby, which led me to doing what I'm doing now with Tribe and Purpose. And the reason it did is because I was like, what the hell am I doing coaching boys high school rugby? I never played. I didn't even know what the game was. I knew it was a funny ball and they didn't wear pads. I'm a Texas boy, I play football, right? And that day that I decided to figure this out, I analyzed boys high school rugby, me as a coach. And I said, part number 1, the game of rugby. Now that I know it, I love it. It's fun, it's beautiful, it's awesome to watch. Number 2, it's a club sport. When I became head coach, our house became the clubhouse, which meant Miss Suzanne and I now had 35 extra sons in and out of our house. The part 3 was being their coach. Teaching, mentoring, guiding them, holding them accountable, pushing them to achieve more than they thought they could. When I realized that, that was my fuel that helped me coach rugby. That was my primary objective, the one thing that really kept me going through all those years involved in that sport. That's what I want you to do with each of your passions on that page. Okay, break those out. Now here comes the hard part. You're going to have to make a table or a matrix, depending on whether you're doing math. If you're doing math, it's a matrix. If you're doing English, it's a table, okay? And at the top, you're going to list each of your passions going across. So the columns are your passions. Got it? Then underneath your passions are going to be those categories, those components that you break out your passion, that you broke them out, okay? So you're filling it in underneath. Everybody getting the visual? We could do it on the drawing board later. But that's, now I want you to step back and look at it, and what you're going to see is a trend line that connects each of those passions. That is you, that will guide you to start walking in a path, on a path to discover your purpose. It's not going to come right out and say, create a legacy of great leaders, Otis. No, it didn't say that. But it broke out and it helped guide me to do that. And then I tested and I measured and I tested and I measured and I adjusted. And that's how I discovered my purpose. That's how you can do it. It's a simple exercise, takes some thought, takes some time. Figure out what that is. Write it up. Make sure it fulfills these two things. Makes the world a better place and helps people. Because let me tell you folks, if all of us on this world knew what our purpose was and did those two things, man, it'd be nice, wouldn't it? It'd be beautiful. So, now, I've touched on this in wrapping up a couple of times, and I'm going to emphasize it again. The systems and processes, the training, the efforts, the things that we learned in the military have set us up for success in anything we do, particularly as an entrepreneur. Particularly as an entrepreneur. The irony of the military to our civilian counterparts who've never served is they think we're all lockstep robots. They couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, I was about the worst at following rules. I can't believe I put follow rules on there for discipline because I did not. That was part of my, it's part of my makeup. It's a rule, that means I can break it. You persevered through every training exercise, deployments. You had resilience in creating the systems and following the systems, the routines in your life, and those processes. Remember the SOPs? How many guys had to write SOPs? Ugh. Roger that, sir. We'll write them, right? I mean, that's kind of the way I always felt. If I got to do it, back to that, I'm not a rule follower. But that's the processes. That's the systems and processes that simplified things and made us better, made us more effective and more efficient. Now, before I shift to questions here, or allow you to ask questions, I'm going to read this quote, and then I got one other thing I want to share with you. I mentioned Stoicism and Marcus Aurelius. I skipped over the one earlier under resilience, so I'm going to read this one so I don't forget it. If you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it. And it is in your power to wipe out this judgment now. To me, that is one of the most powerful things. I've talked with many a client about that, in that it's all a choice. Nothing makes you happy, nothing makes you sad. You get to choose. Life's about the choices we make. Choose to persevere, be resilient, disciplined with your purpose. Now, I'm just going to share with you one other thing. If you want to connect with me, take a picture of that. That's me. I got cards. Otis at tribe-purpose.com, our website. If you want to learn more, 10X your team. And that emblem right there is our Steel Men tribe. And our Steel Men tribe, those 4 Gaelic terms are, anybody here know Gaelic? Okay, just checking. Knowledge, honor, legacy, and courage. So it's a small group of men starting our 2nd chapter. And if you're interested in it, either contact me right now when we're done, or take that website right there, and on there, there's an apply now. You set up an interview, see if you're a good fit for the Steel Men tribe. So let's go back to questions. Any questions? Anybody want to go through the exercise of on the whiteboard back there? I think I saw a pen right here.
I got a question.
Yeah, please.
Thank you, Otis. That was, hold up. Thank you.
You're welcome.
He's got notes, hang on.
All right.
So what are some of the most impactful routines that you or others that you've worked with employed to support success in business?
Morning routine is critical because it sets the day. And I'm a firm believer in working out in the morning because it gets the blood flowing. I'll just share what I do because that's probably the simplest way. I do my workout, come upstairs to my office, read my devotional with a cup of coffee and some jazz music playing, jazz for reading, I think, if I remember right. Then I review my schedule, look at the schedule I have planned, double check, make sure something hadn't changed with the electronic schedule because I'm gonna write it on my journal book. Then I write down 3 wins from yesterday. And then before I wrap that portion up, I write down 3 things I'm thankful for. And that's how I set my day. And then I usually, depending on where I'm at and what I'm working on, sometimes I try to do my reading at that time, read for about a half hour or so, and then get on with the day. Does that help as an example? Yeah.
Hi, Otis.
What's up, Frank?
Not much, man. I really enjoy the way you're breaking this down. Now, you really unpacked, if you're hadn't been in the military, much of this is not going to make as much sense, right?
Yes, sir.
That makes it right. So, you unpacked how we translate our military things that we already know, and instead of trying to change us, but using that, but we have to translate it differently. I found that most people come out of the military have an insane problem translating.
100% right. I mean, those guys you know, they're walking around going, huh, 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 all the time. It's like, golly, dude.
Yeah. The purpose, because you had an overarching purpose while you were in the military, then trying to translate your military experience into the civilian world. So what can you tell us to help us in that transitional phase of translation?
It's adjusting to the culture. You know, I have an advantage because that's what we did as Green Berets, right? We were trained, that was put into our head, is adjust to the culture. But it's no different, right? For anybody else, when you move to a new city, move to a new neighborhood, you meet people, you understand what they do, how they do it, how do you talk to them? You have to be willing and open to seeing others and how they hear as part of leadership, part of self-leadership. The better you lead yourself, the better you understand yourself, the better you can understand others. So when you start thinking about how do I integrate into the society, how do I integrate into this corporation, because you're 100% right, there are a lot of guys that's like, come on, man. You know, we can do that stuff at the bar, in the gym, whatever, right? But we're here in the business environment. dress the part, talk the part, leave that stuff for other times. And I think if you know somebody and you're allowing them to do that, then you're as much at fault as them. Help your brother and sister out that's doing that, because we all know them. We've all seen them. It's like, dude, Sam, quit doing that. Right? Yeah, but I hope that I mean, it's not a good solid solution, but I think for us in here, I think the action is identify, because I don't think anybody in here is really that way, at least from folks I've talked to tonight. I think we're the ones that can help our brothers and sisters who are stuck in that mode. Still, what's it, Al Bundy, because I caught the game-winning touchdown in the state championship in high school, and that's all I'm going to live for the rest of my life. Now it's time to move on, man.
Any other questions? No?
Kind of in relation to this, translating, you mentioned using the military decision-making process, and you shared a lot during that, but is there what's the first step we might take to implement that into our business? The military decision-making process.
Do you have a business plan?
Yes.
Okay.
It's an active business.
I'm sorry?
I have an active business.
Do you have a business plan? Do you have a plan for your business?
That plan is constantly evolving.
Yes, and that's what, but a plan is the starting point, right? Mike Tyson said everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. If you're an Army guy, every plan is solid until you cross the LD, the line of departure. You got to have a plan. That's number one. Write some stuff down. Doesn't have to be fancy. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about this morning as I was writing my newsletter. If you're having trouble with the whole 5-paragraph field order thing, because I mean, it was ingrained in me when I was 18. Okay, so I've been doing it a long time. It's stuck in here. But if you're having trouble with that, write down all the things you got to do. Write down all the people that you got, whether they're employees, outsource, whatever. And then pick out a calendar and match those things up. We're creating a plan by doing that. But it has to start with your purpose, and your purpose can help you define what your vision is, because you got to know where you're going. You got to have that vision in a direction, because if you don't, you can't persevere, because then you're chasing shiny objects all the time. Every time some new good idea comes up, you're running over there and saying, oh, let me check that out. You just wasted 5 minutes, an hour, 3 days, 3 weeks, a month, 6 months, hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, because you haven't defined what you're trying to do. So start with that. Now, translating it all, what I would recommend, you got time for one more exercise I can share with you that'll help you? All right, this is another simple one I do with all my clients. I love this one. And I especially love it when I'm coaching my soon-to-be veterans, guys transitioning out. It's called the ideal day. Okay? The ideal day feels like this, and because we're all Colorado Springs, it makes it easier. Here's what the ideal day feels like. I've got to get from North Academy down to Fort Carson for whatever reason, and I-25 is closed. And all I'm thinking is, I got to drive down to Academy. It's going to take me 3 days to get there, down Academy. And when I get on Academy, I'm coming up to that first light, and right as I'm approaching it, I'm taking my foot off the accelerator, just letting off a little bit, getting ready to hit the brakes, and that light changes to green. Cool. I come up to the next light, same thing. Start to let off, green. I go the entire length of Academy, and that same thing happens. That, my friends, is what the ideal day feels like. Okay? That's what it feels like. Now, here's the fun part about it. It's a date. Today is 19 June 2025. The ideal day will occur for you 19 June 2030. You've got 5 years to get your act together and plan this day. And it will be, in order to do it, because a picture paints 1,000 words, but we're going to use 1,000 words to create the ideal day. This is going to be the most anal retentive first sergeant training schedule where he keeps saying, not enough detail, not enough detail, go back. That's the type of schedule. If you have your alarm set for 5:30 in the morning, do you wake up before it and turn it off and get out of bed? Do you wake up to the alarm? Do you wake up before it and lay in bed? What do you do first? Do you get up, take a piss, brush your teeth, go outside and have a cigarette? What do you do next? Do you go to the gym? If you're going to the gym, how are you getting there? What are you driving? What are you doing while you're driving? You listen to music? What kind of music? Listen to podcasts? What kind of podcasts? When you get to the gym, what are you doing? You're going to change, you're going to work out, you're on a treadmill. What are you doing while you're on a treadmill? How far are you running? All these details, because what we're doing is we're creating this picture in our mind. This picture in our mind helps us discover what it is we want to do. Now I call this, and I'm apologizing, because guess what you're going to have to do for tonight? I call this the red truck syndrome. The red truck syndrome goes like this. I never saw a red pickup truck until the day I decided I wanted to buy a red F-150. The day I decided I wanted to buy a red F-150, that next morning, I'm leaving the house, heading to the Walmart, get to the stop sign, there's a red pickup truck. Huh. I pull in the Walmart parking lot. There's 3 of them in the Walmart parking lot. Where the hell did they come from? That's weird. I go across the street to the Home Depot, and there's 4 in the Home Depot parking lot. I'm like, geez, man, did I miss the red truck pickup sale? Where did they all come from? No, they've been there all along, but it was not important information. My subconscious blanked them out because it wasn't important. When we create the ideal day, the image of the ideal day, our subconscious starts to work for us. It sees the indicators. It sees them and helps us discover and achieve and get to the ideal day. And when we have the ideal day, the other thing I love about this is because it's real. It's on the frickin' calendar. This is not some arbitrary, here's my 5-year vision. No, this is real shit. It's on your frickin' calendar, dude. I mean, I can flip through my phone and go to 19 June 2030. It's real. And when we have that tactical understanding and picture in our mind of what's going to happen, guess what we can do? I can take those details, those tactical details, and I can extrapolate them up, and I can create a vision that's real about what I want to be, who, what, and where I want to be. And I'll give you one stipulation about the ideal day. It must be realistically unrestricted. Realistically unrestricted. If you want to wake up in the morning at 5:30, walk out your front door, walk 100 meters, be on the beach, think about that. If you want to wake up 5:30 in the morning, look out the window and see there's 6 inches of fresh powder, and you want to get some first runs and fresh powder, think about that, right? I'll give you one more. You want to be driving to work, pull the truck over to the side, grab your fly rod, slip on your waders, and get a couple of casts in before you head to the office. These are all realistic, unrestricted things that you can do in your ideal day. And if you don't identify them now, you'll never have them. If you don't start thinking about them now, you'll never have them. Put the plan in place. Because when I create that ideal day, those details, and I take it up to that, and I create my vision. When I have a vision, I can have goals, and I can take my goals and I can break them into objectives, and I can take my objectives and I can break them into tasks, and I take my tasks and I break them into action steps, right to the What the hell are you doing tonight to move you one step closer to your ideal day? That's the mindset you can have. That will help you persevere to achieve that. So, sorry, push the button again.
Good. Any other questions? No? All right. Big round of applause. Thank you very much.